Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge, go through one satellite, start looking left for the red neon, park in the street. Like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Tell all your friends, come on the show with me. Hi-hat. You hear it?
Yeah.
You know why? Because Aaron Stone is here.
Oh, yeah.
He hears everything.
I hear it all.
He hears it all. Aaron Stone hears everything. I was thinking about it, and I think even though I haven't known you as long as I've known some people, I think laugh per laugh, I've had more laughs with you than almost anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody.
Oh,
Like if you
God.
think about it, I'm like,
That's great.
Yeah, I think the most laughs ever. I think.
That's funny. Yeah.
It's true though.
Yeah.
It's true when you think about it. So I know Aaron Stone primarily as a sound man extraordinaire, or sound tech, but also a musician, multi-talented guy, can pretty much do everything.
Oh, geez. Thanks.
Well,
Yeah.
it's true.
We strive. Yeah,
well, I don't know, you're probably going to be like, no, that's not true. But in my opinion, or in my world, there's a few people like this. The thing I like most about Aaron Stone, you don't half know what you know. When you know something, you freaking know it. I love that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I think when I, God, like I'm thinking back to like when I got my first car, and I was like, why am I going to pay this guy so much money to fix my car?
Right,
Like, I could change a starter in my car. Like, sure.
See, I already don't even know what you're talking about.
Right. I wasn't afraid. I was like, yeah, I could figure it out.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was just, I guess, and that was.
Were your folks like that?
No, my grandfather.
Okay.
My mother's father. Yeah, totally.
You know what I'm saying?
That was, he was, he and I were very close. I learned a lot of my techie, just general, like carpentering and mechanical abilities, like, the early basic stuff from him.
Yep.
How to swing a hammer, how to tighten a
Wait,
bolt.
say that again.
Swing a hammer.
Wait, swing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of those things. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
never
yeah.
got as far as
Yeah.
that. Swing a hammer.
Yeah.
Hammer. So tell us what you're doing now that is of note or importance that we would like to know, and then we'll work our way back.
Let's see. I am
like who most people would know you as.
Well, I guess other than raising 3 boys and getting a start on that late in life, just the way these things happen sometimes. But and so like the oldest is 16, soon to be 17.
Is that right?
Yeah, Justin's going to be 17.
That's
in
crazy.
March. Yeah, it's
kind of crazy.
And and Colin is he's going to be 14 tomorrow. Tomorrow's his birthday.
Hey,
14.
happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Colin. And youngest Nathan, he just turned 6 in November.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
It doesn't even seem like that long.
I know, it's crazy.
That's nuts.
When they say don't blink, you'll miss, they're not kidding.
I guess
it's true. It's a true story.
Yeah.
But
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. So there's that, and I'm out doing sound at many venues for many bands.
Yeah.
I have one home base, I guess, right now. I have a system at Crystal Bees in Southington, and just they lease it from me, and then I staff the shows and whatnot, and maintain it. And if I've got nothing better to do, I go there and work. It's a good time. It's a nice. It's
I've never been over there.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out their place in the whole Connecticut music scene, so to speak. But we're they're getting there.
It's a bigger venue than like a bar gig, kind of, right?
Right.
They're like in that zone where it's.
Yeah, it's like a 30,000 square foot building.
Oh wow!
They have
I've never been there.
Arcade, bowling alley,
Yeah.
Restaurant. Yeah, it's a neat spot. It's a neat spot for. It's like you can go there. It's like with the family. Everybody can just kind of go do
play skee ball or
there's all that stuff. Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I gotta get. I've never been over there.
Yeah.
That's cool. So what acts do they have? I saw Fizz was over there. Physical Graffiti was over there.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So like stuff like that.
Yeah. Yep. Sure. They have that. They have
Riders on the Storm.
Yeah, they had Riders on the Storm. They've had oh God, just it's so many different genres. yeah. Who else is our local friends around here that I can think of that have been over there?
Funbag's been over there.
Yeah, they're back next month, I think.
Oh,
Next
okay.
month or
Right.
April, maybe it's April. March or April.
So it's not like the corner bar gig. It's a little.
Yeah. It's more, they try to bring in some, tribute acts and
Yeah.
some regional touring,
That's
type
cool.
of things.
And you got it on lock. You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You
It's
got the
great.
system.
Yeah, I got a decent system in there and some
cool.
decent guys turning knobs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's going good.
And that's been that started before COVID. You were doing that, right?
Yeah, it was. We got the system up and running I think 5 months before,
Oh, wow.
5 or 6 months beforehand, and it was. Yeah, I think we were going right into the 6th or 7th month, and that everything shut down. And we were just hitting our stride over there. People were starting to, know the place was there and come there and frequent it and stuff. And
you feel like you're back in stride, or it's just a different stride?
It's getting there. It's getting there. Yeah, for sure. It's certainly, Jimmy Bell was there last weekend.
Oh, that's cool.
There. He had his, he did his,
he was here. He was
his birthday. Yeah, I saw that. He celebrated his birthday over there, I guess, and he had a big party and
that's cool.
Many hundreds of people, I guess.
Oh,
came.
wow.
So yeah, it was good. It was a good night.
Wow, that's funny. I didn't get my invitation.
Yeah.
Jimmy Bell.
Yeah.
He won't. The Jimmy Bell is the kind of guy. He either watches all of these or he watches none of them. So I don't know.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
I'm somewhere in between. I've watched I've watched a lot of the people that I know.
Sure.
Then I'm starting to going into the people I know their names, but I don't know them.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's a good thing for it. It's funny for me because we'll get there. Me and you with this is it's fun for me to have people on that I know, but you never. Well, we've talked for hours straight, but it's some people I never talk for an hour straight about info, what's your story, and you find out things
yeah,
that's cool,
exactly.
Which is what's fun.
Yeah.
And then people who kind of know, people who know you but don't really know the whole story.
Right. I felt like I should have come on earlier, but I felt unprepared. And then I'm after I watched it, I'm like, well, what is there to even?
There's nothing.
How do you prepare for? You don't prepare for something.
No, you see, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, we're just having a conversation.
Yeah. So
it may or may not be interesting.
Yeah.
So far, not really.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, exactly. Typical, our phone conversation.
Yeah, it takes a while
to going. Yeah,
that's so funny.
So Dad and doing sound gigs and learning equipment. It's interesting. You get calls from we were just talking before that a guy trying to sort out a system at a high school to do a theater production. Right. Headset mics and 20 of them.
Yeah.
And whoever installed the system, whoever knows something happened and there was a falling out, and now there's just nobody who has a clue,
right?
Other than we can turn it on and we can make this mic work for assemblies,
right? So there's nobody that can mix.
There's $500,000 worth of equipment or something. I mean, it's just insane.
How'd they find you? Who knows?
Well, the guy, this guy Rob, he runs Angel Thorn Music out in Bethel.
Okay,
and he does a little rehearsal once a year, right on his property. He has in his backyard. They set up as a little stage area, and they do the kids have their yearly recital there. And I met him just through some other guys in the music scene that play in the house band. He was always looking for somebody to come and do the sound for this thing. And so I met, it's just, you meet another guy. And then so he runs this music school out of his house. And he gets involved with a lot of the theater productions in the area, and they're doing one at Newtown High School, I guess. And he said they went in there, and they have this incredible system, and nobody has. They're just there's no.
Yeah.
We're we can get a microphone to work, and that's about it.
Yeah, right.
And there's nobody has. There's nothing. There's no instructions. There's no.
Oh boy.
Printed out. So we have
so
somebody needs to come in here and go, okay, this is what you have, and this is how you can use it.
Did you go there yet?
Yeah.
Do you think you can train someone?
2 mornings I was over there. I was over there this morning for the second time, just sussing it out.
You going to make it go? Is it going to work?
No, it's working. We got it all.
And were you going to train that dude or
that
somebody.
guy, and then he's going to kind of bring the kids in there and say, okay, this is what you
basically.
need to know to be able to do a theater production. You know, here's all your headset mics. Here's your inputs for your band.
Sure.
Plug your band in, and
Crazy.
and just have like a scene built in the board that works, so they can turn it on, and and then if they have questions, somebody that they can refer back to, because there's literally nobody has any clue. Whatever happened, that person is just not around to explain it anymore.
Oh well. Bummer.
So like consulting work, I guess you could
why
call
not?
it, right? You know,
Why not?
Yeah.
And then summer gigs heat up. Do a lot of outdoor. Town greens are a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yearly summer festivals. I do the town of Meriden.
Oh yeah.
On the new green that they built in downtown Meriden.
Yep.
And it's become a real nice spot.
That's cool.
And then they do. There's another group that does like a spin-off series at Hubbard Park. They do like 3 shows, one per month. You know, in the past they've been on Thursday nights.
Are you doing Christine in July?
For 4th of July. Yeah.
I'm on drums, yo.
Oh, great. Awesome.
That's gonna be fun.
Well, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
That'll be fun.
Yep. So
I'll
be there.
So where did you grow up? Tell us the whole story.
Oh, all right. And this is the one
did
thing
you grow
I
up?
actually did. Yeah, no.
Of course not.
It still hasn't happened yet.
Good luck.
Trying.
Yeah, let me know.
Trying to set an example for my kids, but, you know.
Wow.
Okay, so this is the one thing I actually did look up, because I actually always used to screw this question up.
But where you were born?
Where I was born, yeah. So the town that I, grew up in, was born near, it was Garwood, New Jersey. Okay. And the hospital, the closest town with a hospital was Summit.
Okay.
So that was November 9th, 1974, for anybody interested.
Yeah, sure.
And then moved to, my dad got a new job, and we moved to North Haven. That was in 1979. I was 4, 4.5, somewhere around there. And so.
Where did he work?
He worked at a company called Chloride. They made emergency lighting for buildings. You know, like when the power goes out, they have these little battery operated lights throughout the building. And so
because my dad worked in North Haven too.
Oh, really?
So, Union Carbide.
Okay.
Just like
that's Union Carbide made all the batteries for.
Right. Yeah, he was in the coating.
Okay.
It was like aircraft parts. They would coat it with some sort of.
Gotcha.
I don't know what it was, but anyway, North Haven's like
and they were probably right.
Like
those buildings were probably right near each other.
Yeah, Sackett Point Road.
Yeah, and all down in that area. Yeah,
it's funny.
Yeah, so that was 79 to 89.
Yep.
And then eventually he got another job again, and we moved to Buffalo, New York.
Oh, right.
So I finished high school.
Oh, okay.
We moved when I was halfway through 9th grade, and we moved out.
So you're not thrilled about the Super Bowl?
Almost.
You're almost there.
I'm actually a Vikings fan.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
It's it's Pat Russo's
never
in
lived
Buffalo.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. But but it was. I think when I was up there was like the year, the era where they went to the Super Bowl 4 years in a row or whatever or something. Yeah. So.
Oh well.
But yeah. So finished high school up there, and so that would have been what we moved up there in 1989. Graduated high school in 1993. Well, all right, I'll finish the timeline thing real quick. So then I moved to on my own. I moved to Cleveland, Ohio, and I went to mechanic school. I went to Ohio Auto Diesel for heavy duty diesel and auto mechanics.
Oh wow!
And
you just decided this is what I'm
right. That was like kind of thing. I was really into working on cars at the time, and had always been into electronics on some level, and obviously music. Music was always a huge part of my life. I was always goofing around with music when I was a kid. Me and my friends would make like mix tapes, like we were like radio station DJs and stuff, and
kind of what we're doing now,
back and forth. Yeah, exactly. It just never ends. But we had our own little radio station call letters, and geeking out and making tapes and stuff, and a little Radio Shack mixer and a couple old record players and whatever you had, But that was So I did that, and then so that was like an 18-month program after high school, and I moved back. I decided that I wanted to come back to Connecticut as
How
an
come?
adult. Just because that's where I had spent most of my life.
Oh, okay.
And in the process of me being out in school there, my dad, my parents actually moved back to New Jersey.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's crazy.
So yeah, so the Buffalo thing was short lived, and they
All
they
right.
were moved back to New Jersey. Well, I was in Ohio,
Yep.
and I decided that I wanted to come back to Connecticut. So I had hooked up with some friends that were kind of like getting their young adult lives
Yeah,
together,
sure,
and we
sure.
rented an apartment together. And
Hey.
so and I was in West Haven. So I moved back in like I guess it was March in 1995. I moved
Oh, wow.
back to
Okay.
Connecticut. And yeah, and started with the first 13 years of my adult life as a car mechanic, basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And doing music stuff on the side.
Yeah.
And then in 2008-ish,
Yeah.
I
was there.
I decided I was like, okay,
Let me do this.
I think I'm gonna make a swap. You know,
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna make my hobby my job, and my job maybe my hobby. You know,
Yeah.
and I think the biggest thing for me was that I realized that I didn't want to punch a clock anymore.
Sure.
And like have somebody tell me what it is you're doing
Yep.
today. Like I kind of wanted to be in charge of that myself.
Yeah.
And that brought me the most amount of like, okay, I can handle this now. Like I'm much happier with the responsibility of I've got to answer the phone.
Yep.
I've got to book the gigs.
Yep.
I've got to keep my calendar straight. I've got to be professional.
Yep.
I have no problem with any of those things,
Yeah.
but I'm in charge of myself now. And
Sure.
and that makes me happy.
Yeah.
And I can,
I'm right there with you.
yeah, I know we totally, we get that. So yeah, that's kind of was the main thing. And I was like, I'm going to give it a try. And then at the time I was running, I'm sure people know this, but I had I was renting a building behind Archie Moore's in Wallingford there, and I had a little studio.
Yeah.
And I think I ran that for, it was just shy of 10 years.
Wow.
I was in there. And, it started off as like half the building. And then after about 2 years, I took the other half of the building and I built some rehearsal rooms and had some monthly tenants there and did some recording and, used that as a home base for doing the sound gigs and stuff. And then eventually after doing all these different things, it was the live sound thing that I was like, this is the thing I think I'm really like, this is what I'm really good at and what I really enjoy. There's just something about
more so than recording.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I liked it, but there were just times where it got very tedious. Like when you're sitting in there, like, you've got, multiple takes and hours of mixing.
Yeah.
And you're just like, your eyes are starting to bug out from staring at the computer screen and you don't know if like your ears are still functioning properly. Like, am I still hearing this properly? And I got to take a break and, you burn a CD of it and go play it in the car and it sounds like mud. And you're like, no, what was I doing?
And you got to flush the CD down the
toilet. Down the toilet with disgusting anger.
Wow. I didn't realize that you weren't into the recording as much by the end.
I mean, I don't want to say I didn't like it.
Sure,
I didn't enjoy it. I mean, the whole like experimenting with microphones and preamps and tubes versus solid state. And
well, didn't you say you started off, you had a setup in West Haven, right?
Yeah.
Is that how it started?
Yeah, I started, so yeah, when I moved back to Connecticut and started hooking up with some of my friends, that I had, hadn't seen in a few years.
Sure.
Some of them were into playing music and some of them were into cars, some of them were into both, but a couple of buddies were into playing and they were looking for somebody to play drums, and drums was always something I wanted to play.
Yeah.
And they were like, they kind of talked me into trying to find a used drum set on like, whatever the bargain news. I guess it was the bargain news.
Sure,
probably before this was like the internet was at its infancy at this point. We were still dialing up. But I found this Yamaha drum set for sale for a couple $100.
Yeah.
And
is that the kit?
No,
the one. Okay,
no,
all right.
Unfortunately, no. But I did. I think I ended up selling it eventually, but because I got the kit the other Yamaha kit. Yeah. But so we and where we ended up at the time, and I didn't even know it because I didn't know any of you guys at the time. I was still living in West Haven. Was right next to Vinny's Deli, Picker's Choice.
Oh yeah,
wasn't that Ricky?
Ricky Lee. Yeah,
Ricky
back in the day.
Now, whatever happened, I don't think I actually got to meet Ricky.
Yeah.
These
cool
guys
dude.
Knew him a little bit, and Richie. And,
me and Richie and Dave. That was our spot before your spot.
Right.
That was where we all.
Yeah, yeah. Then I remember
out.
everybody talked really highly of Ricky, and I was like, I never got to know him. Just at the time we started to rent his little spot there, I think like the second or third time we went there, we showed up and the whole place was closed down. And
Oh.
I think he had gone. I'm trying to remember the whole story, but didn't
Yeah,
he
yeah.
go?
I don't
Didn't he
remember.
go overseas and contract something?
Yeah,
something
tragic
happened.
and terrible.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that was right around the time that happened. And yeah. So I never got to meet him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he was a
then,
cool dude.
you know, you imagine years later that like I'm practically across the street. My
Yeah,
building
yeah.
is almost across the street.
So
from her.
funny. It's so crazy.
It's a small world, man.
It is, I know,
It's a small
because
world.
we had a couple close calls.
Yeah.
You knew my dad from a completely different thing,
Right.
and he would say, "Oh man, my son plays drums. You should meet him." Never
Right.
even
that
knew.
was, yeah. And
So funny.
we knew each other for a very long time before we discovered
Yeah.
that was your dad.
Yeah.
He used to bring up, I guess he was working at the Valenti
Yeah.
Chevrolet dealer.
Yep.
He would bring the cars up to the station I worked at, some of the cars
Right.
for emissions testing.
Right.
And he would talk about you.
Yeah.
And then like, yeah.
How did he ever come up? How did he figure you were a musician? That must have been the end.
I think just we were talking one day and it just came up that
Yeah.
that I had that studio space. Or
Oh right,
whatever,
and he
or
probably
something.
said, "Oh,
Yeah,
you know my
yeah,
son
yeah,
because
your
he's
son. Yep.
Wallingford." Yeah.
Yep.
That's so funny.
And
yeah.
then the other guy I met through all that too was Bart. I know you know Bart Bryant.
Yeah.
I met Bart Bryant
Yeah.
through because he brought his car there for service.
Gotcha. Yeah, and he's a good guy to know because
yeah,
he's like right in the
exactly.
middle of all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's killer. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Ricky Lee. That was our spot before you.
Right.
We would all, that was where we would hang out, me, Richie, and Dave.
Yeah.
And then, and then it was like, oh, hey, there's this dude's got this other. I think Richie might have met you first or whatever.
Right.
I don't remember
Through Johnny Gaetano.
Right.
And Keith.
Right.
I don't know if you were friendly with Keith or not, but Keith was like Johnny's buddy. But
yeah,
Johnny Gaetano used to talk about you. And
sure.
It was like, I'm like, everybody I know knows John Peckman.
Yeah.
And then finally we meet.
Yeah, you're like, that's it? This guy?
Yeah, this guy.
Whatever. I know JG from when we were little kids.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
And so there we all were at the spot.
Yeah.
We just call it the spot.
Yeah.
That was killer.
Yeah.
It was
great.
killer. Yeah.
Yeah. So that started in the idea started in my apartment in West Haven.
Okay.
So after the Ricky Lee, the Picker's Choice,
Yeah.
that kind of fell apart. Would they actually start? Oh, because
I think Joe Delaney came after. He went in after.
So here's
that.
another one. Here's another close call.
Because he was there briefly.
When I was living in West Haven, I was on the second floor of this 3-family house, and on the first floor, when I had moved in there were 3 girls that must have been like roommates in college or whatever.
Yeah.
And through over the few years, the 2 of them moved out. There was 1 left, and then a friend of hers moved in. This guy who was in this band, and he and I became friendly.
Sure.
And his name is Mike Irwin, and he knows Carrie Horvath.
Right. Okay. Yep.
She was in his band. They had a band called Pavlov's Dogs.
Okay.
And original band, and they were doing a lot of recording at Joe Delaney's place at Joetown when it was next
on Main Street.
On Main Street
Yep.
in the old house, the old Victorian house over there, and that's how I met Joe Delaney. Was I went up there. Mike had booked like a whole weekend block of time or whatever for recording, and their drummer like flaked on him. Just decided he didn't want to be in the band anymore.
Oh boy!
So Mike was like, I could play the parts, I just don't have a drum set. So he borrowed my drum set.
Oh right.
So he was like, if you want to come to the sessions and hang out and help and stuff. So I was like, yeah, sure, that'd be fun. Yeah. So that time Joe and Basil.
Yeah. Oh
the
yeah.
engineer. Yeah. And they were actually tracking on tape.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
On tape.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for real. Like,
Yeah.
I
was lucky. I got in there too. Yeah. Me and Richie and Dave used to record there on 2-inch.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. It was cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. And Bays was great.
Yeah, he was. I was amazed watching him work. I was like, wow, this guy knows
totally
his
crazy
stuff. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I remember one time we were doing something, and I was like, I mean, this probably not a big deal, but I never saw anybody do it. I was just like, can there be like I read about this thing. Can we put tape flange on this part? Yeah, no problem. You know, and he just like, he got it all set up and, and did tape flange on this whole part of the tune with tape machines. I was like, wow, okay. Yeah. That's cool. I know how to do that.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, yeah. You should do that on the turntables.
Right. And then
record.
Yeah, and then once you figure out all it is, then I would fool around with my DJ rig too and go, oh, I can actually do that.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Joe, one time, so for a little while, I lived across the street. Now it's a condo row, but that was an apartment building.
Right.
And there's that stream that goes under the street that ends up right at Picker's Choice.
Yeah.
And when Joe was over there, I was like, I'm going to get an inner tube and ride it from, I was like, we're going to set up a little dock. I didn't do it, but I was like, one of these days, I'm just going to be like, I'll come right over and then set up a little thing. I never did it. That would be killer.
Yeah.
Raft with Huck Finn. I'll be right over.
Right.
Come along with the thing. End up like Burt Reynolds with a broken leg, instead.
Yeah.
I started off like Huck Finn. I ended up like Burt Reynolds. Yeah. So Picker's Choice, and then that spot came up.
Yeah. So like I said, we started and so after that, those guys, the Picker's Choice, and then the guy downstairs from me, Mike, he was in Pavlov's Dogs. They were rehearsing at Johnny Skaggs' place,
right
up in Meriden.
Sure.
And
another spot we used to hang out.
Right. And another guy that I met through, early on. And I remember we were going up there in the middle of the night to rehearse and stuff because nobody's schedule could,
sure.
So eventually that whole thing fell apart. And the guy living upstairs from me at the time had a friend that he introduced me to who was trying to start an original band. And I started playing drums with him. We used to just kind of jam and play around. And then he introduced me to his guitar player friend who lived in New York, and his buddy Bill would come up on the train on Sunday mornings.
Yeah.
And we'd like meet for breakfast and then go jam at my place in West Haven. And I had like a primitive recording thing going there. So we would do some recording and stuff with the songs. And then we were looking for a bass player, and we found, I think on Harmony Central was the thing at the time. We found this guy, Adam, who lived out in the Niantic area. Okay. And that's how I met my friend Adam Briasco, who now runs East Coast Taco out in Niantic.
Okay.
So he joined our little band. We called ourselves Vertigozer, and our claim to fame was we played CBGB's twice.
Hey, that's so cool. I never did.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's cool.
Oh, it was great. So that was kind of what got me into like it was my own project that I was recording and playing in.
Then you're like, hey, I record other people.
Right. And then eventually Sean's relationship and my relationship, we just, eventually it fizzled. And,
sure.
And I kind of regrettably kicked him out of my life in an abrupt manner. But,
oh boy.
Yeah, it was a lesson. Sometimes you learn, I was very young at the time, and you learn like, certain people, if you let them, you got to be careful, because if you let them in too much, they just like become all consuming.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like you come home from work and the dude's like already at your house watching your TV, drinking your iced tea.
Oh boy.
And,
Yeah.
It's like,
it happens.
Yeah. So anyway, but Adam and I were both very interested in the recording aspects of it, and we decided to pursue finding a space to actually set up a studio.
Oh, okay.
So we found a spot in Meriden on Tremont Street.
I don't know if I know where that is.
It was, where the Little League Park is? Britannia. I think it's Britannia. Anyway, so we had an old mill building.
Yeah.
1887.
Sure.
So we had this space on the first floor, and right below us in the basement was the bank vault that the original company used, and it's the Aeolian company. So it was, and apparently I guess they made player pianos or player pianos.
Yeah,
in Meriden.
Yeah.
So, but it was still on the door of the vault. So anyway, we used to use the vault as first a recording room, but then later on we just put a speaker down there and two microphones, and used it like a reverb.
Hell
sound.
yeah!
Oh, it was
How
great.
could you not?
It was awesome.
Yeah, that's killer.
Yeah, so
That's the first thing I thought. I was like, oh, bank vault, set up a reverb.
Yeah, that's what we did.
That's killer.
Dropped a bunch of wires through the floor. And
Yeah.
So we were there for, then middle of that, Adam and I joined a guy trying to start an original metal band, and we did that for a few years and kind of lost focus on the studio itself, and that started to fall behind on the rent and blah blah and everything, and then eventually it was just like, all right, he wanted to open the restaurant, so he kind of like,
oh, okay,
he's like, I'm kind of I'm like, all right, so
going a different way.
Yeah, so he went and did that, and I ended up pulling all my stuff out of there and ended up shacking up for about a year with Johnny, Gaetano, and Keith at the Wheel World building. Remember the one? Do you know? I don't know if you were over there, but they had there was this building had a roller skating rink in it. It was called Wheel World.
Oh, right. Oh, dude.
So
yes, I remember that.
So she rented. She had.
Well, I peeped through the peephole, and there was roller derby girls practicing. I was like, "This is great. I'm never leaving." Oh, God.
So there was a couple rooms that she rented out, and one of them Keith and Johnny had rented from when they had their band. So I moved in with them for about a year, and then the owners were trying to sell the building, and just basically like the realtor told them, "You got to just kick all these people out if you want to sell the building faster. Kick all these people out, including the roller skating rink." So they kicked us all out,
make it empty.
Yeah, and so that's I found the spot on Wallace Avenue.
Oh, okay.
Behind Archie Moore's. And
wow.
And that's where I ended up there, and that would have been. It was early. It was like January 2008.
Wow.
We moved into that.
Yeah.
And then.
And you built that whole.
Yeah, Davey helped me. Well, he actually helped me, I think, more with the second half, because the first half I had a different crew guys helping. A lot of the guys from Keith and Johnny and those guys, and we basically just cleaned out that whole back half of the building.
And it was it was empty.
Yeah, it was mostly vacated. I think in a last ditch effort to save it, the landlord put a new roof and a new furnace in the building, because
I gotcha.
There was
somebody will make something.
Yeah, because they were talking about, the town was talking about buying up those properties behind there and making condos or something. It never happened, but that building would have went. But, and now it's a brewery.
Yeah, now it's a brewery,
and it looks really nice. They did a really nice job.
I haven't been able to bring myself to set foot in it.
Me neither.
Because I have so many memories, as we know.
It's tough, man.
Right?
It's like my home for 10 years, yeah.
You know what? And me too.
Yeah,
I hate to, because like by the time we got involved, I had a key. I would teach out there. I would go,
it was like the
good old days, kind of.
Science center. Like, I don't even know how, anything to do with, we could fix guitar amps. We could build guitar amps. We could, we could
build
PA systems. We could crank music up. We could make music. We could record music.
And the funniest part, we were right behind the police station.
Right.
And you could play music because nobody cared. Because there was really no one
there was nobody
within earshot. I vividly remember this. There was one time, so you had like a giant PA. That's kind of the dream. Like, you ever fantasize when you just go, if I could have, all the money in the world and have everything, I would just have what we had.
Right.
Like a club.
Right.
Like a PA size,
right.
a club size PA.
With a club size PA.
Which is what we had.
Music in,
I remember one night we were sitting around, and it was behind the police station, and they didn't care.
Right.
I don't know why. It's like, it's cool.
Yeah.
And I vividly remember Gilligan was there. We were sitting there, and we had music on, and there was some bass note that was so loud, it started vibrating my cheekbones. And I was like, oh my God, turn it down. I had to grab my head. It was rattling my teeth. It was just apparently that's the note that my skull is.
Resonant note.
I was, oh my God, what's happening? Turn it down. But it was awesome. That's how loud. It's probably good that we'd be deaf.
Yeah.
But that was fun. For that while there, I would just wrap up my night and just show up and be like, whoever's there.
Like, okay, we're gonna, I got an idea. Let's listen to the original remaster of Led Zeppelin 3 and the new one that they just did at the time, like just that would be like the thing. Like we're just gonna
anything.
This is what we're gonna do tonight. So we'd sit down and like and analyze the two recordings and listen to what things we've that were different and just totally geek out on music.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was great. It was always something going on. Yeah, sometimes you'd be like, let's make a record. Let's just record. Let's not leave the room. Because that was me and Dave D. Ritchie's thing. Our thing would be like, we're going to show up and no one leaves until something is done.
Right.
And mixed and done.
Yeah.
And here we go.
Yeah.
We got cigarettes. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. And just stay until we have something.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of those. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. Yeah, I wouldn't really want anything more.
Yeah.
From life.
Yeah.
It's been downhill since then.
Yeah.
I had to get into portable hi-fi just to recreate.
I know. I did. It's the main thing I miss is like the only time I get to experience that is like when I'm out mixing a show.
Yeah.
Like just the it's unless you're into it, it's hard to explain. But like there's something about listening to music in a big room with a big sound system. It just brings it to something you can't experience in your living room.
No.
No matter how hard you try.
Correct.
No matter how, there's just something.
I agree.
And you need lots of big speakers and many thousands of watts. And
yeah, no, it's true. I mean, once you experience it,
you're
kind of wrecked. Because then you're like, well, how do I get that back again?
Yeah, it's hard. It's tough.
Yeah, it was cool, though. I mean, we had a great time. We recorded a lot of stuff there.
Oh, yeah.
There were drums. I would just show up and just play and then,
Yeah, putting drum mics in the ductwork in two rooms.
That's right, getting into that at the end.
Yeah. Just whatever.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Yeah. Yeah, put the drums in the little room over there, see what they sound like over there, over here. Yeah. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, the good old days.
Yeah.
And so then you just kind of decided that, like you were saying before, that live mixing. You're like, so I don't really need
right.
this.
And what happened was, at the time, Gail and I got married and we bought a house, and it was the problem was that I could never get the space to just be self-supporting.
Right.
Like
it's tough.
If that same building had been,
you lose one monthly tenant and then you're scrambling again.
Right. And it's
always trying to bail it out.
Your live gig money, you're pulling out of that to cover towards the rent, and I'm like, well, I'd make that money if I didn't have the building.
Right.
I'm trying to keep that separate from the building, but it was hard. It was hard, and it never could quite get there. And I think, if the building was in a different part of town where maybe the rent wasn't so high, or,
I see.
or if it was a little bit, I don't want to say bigger, but a little bit bigger, maybe, so I had one or two more tenants.
Right.
Then it would have been fine, but it was
got to that point.
It got to the point where this is just a money pit. It's a money pit. I could do everything I need to do to survive out of my house.
Yeah, well,
and then I was like, man, I don't got to pay.
Right.
I'm already paying for the house. I don't have to pay.
Right.
Another.
Keep the lights on, keep the oil in.
And that was the bit. In the wintertime, I'm gonna pay to heat the place.
I know. Well, I appreciate it. I'm sure a lot of people do, because
the
memories are forever.
I know, dude. I loved it. I wouldn't have given it up for that time of my life was a great.
Yeah,
it was a great experience.
Yeah.
I learned so much about what I do and music and who I am, and
So we'll just chalk it up as that.
Yeah.
I mean, I miss it.
Yeah.
I really.
There are times where I'm like,
it was a huge adjustment to just go. Because that would be the thing. As soon as Paula goes to bed, I'm like, I'll just swing down and see what's going on.
Yeah.
And if nothing's going on, I'll just fire it up and listen to stuff.
Music.
Yeah, why not?
Exactly.
Oh, well.
Yeah. I actually fired up the control room computer yesterday because somebody asked me to do a little editing thing, and I have it set up down in my basement in the corner, like I'm able to actually go down there and fire it up. So I fired it up, and I spent a couple hours actually editing stuff. But yeah.
Well, those were great. That was great.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So now what I'm trying to do is just, it's the live gigs, and I'm trying to get myself set up to do, because I had a little repair shop going at that studio too.
Oh, yeah, right.
Shop, and that's another thing I miss terribly is, you know, and I'm just trying to get my house all organized.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have a spot where I can do some,
You
know, do
get
some
the bench going.
get the bench going and do some more electronics repairs.
Oh yeah.
It's good work in the wintertime when there's not as many gigs, you
Yeah,
know. It's fun. And
So it's slowly like getting it all together.
yeah.
So that when I'm not doing this, I can do this.
Right. And just have it all down there and turnkey, have everything set up, ready to go.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it.
Makes sense.
Get it out because right now I got a little corner of the garage kind of set up with a bench and
Sure.
you know, just because the basement is still like there's just stuff getting sorted through.
Yeah.
And when we moved in, you know, it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like
You end
when
up with all
it
this
was
stuff.
crazy. It was like, you know, it was just, you know, all the amount, you know, okay, we got to get stuff out of storage. We got to put, and then all of a sudden there's all this stuff. And it's
Yeah,
like,
you're
there's
like,
stuff down that we haven't even gone through yet.
Man.
It's crazy. It's just, you know, and the daily routine just gets overwhelming sometimes, you know. It's okay,
Yeah.
we're going to get the kids off to school.
Yeah.
Get the daily chores done. And
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well.
but it's all good, man. It's all
Yeah.
good. Making
Yeah.
a difference and helping 3 little boys out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's a
Yeah.
good feeling too.
Why
But
not?
yeah, and still doing music though, man. I really enjoy it, and it's you know so many different people, you know,
Yeah,
so many
yeah.
different genres.
Yeah.
You know, you just meet and the
Yeah.
whole scene, all the different people that you get to meet and
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
it's a great. We have a good little community in this
Yeah.
part of the world for this.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like sometimes when I get past like what I thought things would be or what they should be or whatever, and then in the end you just go, I made a lot of interesting friends
Yeah,
forever
for
that were
sure.
hilarious, and I'm just like, that's better.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fine. You know, like it's not
Yeah.
like it wasn't worth it
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah.
It's funny.
And then there's Jaws.
Oh God,
God, yeah,
Yeah.
That's another thing. Our
everyone's seeing the shirt.
sure, yeah, I've got my the theme to Jaws.
Oh, yeah.
you know, just
Oh, man. Yeah, greatest movie ever.
oh yeah, just
Never gets old.
wonderful
Never.
piece of cinematography.
Yeah, yeah. I know. Can you imagine
yeah.
if that never happened?
I know.
How
For all the
different things
things
would
that went wrong when they tried to make that movie. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
all
crazy.
all the problems they had, and
Yeah.
if it didn't happen that way,
be. Yeah.
it would have probably never been as epic as it was.
Can you imagine?
I know.
Yeah, that's crazy. I guess it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
If one thing was different, like you said, if they showed the shark at the very beginning of the movie, you'd been the thing looks stupid.
Right.
You're already in by the time you see it.
Right.
You just go, okay,
Oh,
yeah, I can go with
But at
that.
that time, it doesn't even matter. You don't even care.
Yeah,
You're
you-
already scared. I mean, you're already not going to the water.
You're scared
anymore.
by the music.
Yeah,
That's all it
I
is.
mean, you know, if you went to go see that in the theater in
Oh, dude.
1975, 1976, or whatever,
I
when
did.
it came out. Yeah,
Yeah.
you did. Yeah, no, I was way too.
I remember
a year
being
too
so
old.
scared. I went and saw it. My parents took me. We were little. And I didn't have anything to be. I was afraid to take a shower. 'Cause
Right.
It was the only thing I could equate
Me
with,
too.
you know. Like Jaws is
Oh,
upstairs.
Yeah, he's gonna come out the shower head
Yeah.
and eat me.
Stupid. Yeah, the greatest.
It's all right. I have a 6-year-old at home. I understand.
Uh-oh,
I see,
did
I
you
see how they think. You know, it's
He
just,
didn't see. He's too young.
no, he didn't see
Yeah,
it. No,
no,
but I'm
he's not
saying
ready.
like I can relate to like how you know the thought of like oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going in the shower because it might get me in the shower.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
of
like,
course. Yeah, because you don't know. All you know is water. This
yeah,
is water.
and the shark and
So funny, killer. So you're just gonna keep on keeping on.
yeah.
You
Just
know.
keep on going and.
Yeah. You gave me my start in the karaoke business. That's all
Oh
you
yeah,
too.
that's right.
so
Yeah, you
funny.
can thank Barty for all that too. That
Yeah, right?
That was from Richie. And
It's still, it's still
it's funny how that. Yeah, it's
get
still a
passed
thing.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was such a thing. And
Yeah.
you were doing a gig, and somehow I just took over
Yeah.
a gig and was like, oh, this is a thing.
Yeah.
And then at one point, I was between drum gigs and I was scrambling, and then started doing the karaoke thing, and I was like,
Yeah.
this kind of works.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah,
if
it's
you
funny.
If you can just kind of, like, you've got the formula down. You know what I mean? You gotta stay, you gotta stay one step ahead of them at least. You know
Oh,
what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, but and just kind of like be enough of a horse's ass.
Yeah,
to,
oh,
you
yeah.
know.
No one's more. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know what's funny? Like, this is stupid because, like, who cares? Talking about my secret life as a karaoke host, but like, and it's nothing against any other karaoke host, but when I started doing the gig, I have never even seen a karaoke gig, no
Right,
idea.
right.
But I'm like, oh, okay, so you're just mixing, and coming from band world, I mixed it as loud as a band,
Right.
and
right.
mixed it, like, if someone's away from, I'm trying to mix it because I want it to sound good from where I am. And I realize, people would say, man, your show sounds great. And I'm like, well, isn't it supposed to? And then I would go see other karaoke hosts, and they just set it and forget it.
Right.
They don't know how to work it. And I thought, well, you're supposed to.
Right.
And also, just like you say, being in a band, the power of, like, when you step to the mic and it's loud.
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
And I do that because I was like, well, isn't that the way it's supposed to be?
Right.
And so people are like, oh, man, your show sounds great. And I'm like, coming at it from band world, I thought that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yep. Yeah.
So
yeah. Because if you didn't know any better,
well,
just if you didn't come from,
it's a weird skill set, as you know.
Oh,
It
yeah,
depends
totally.
on where you're coming from. Some people are,
yeah.
like when I was in trivia world, I was doing trivia gigs too. And you realize there are certain people, they're like Connecticut broadcasting graduates trying to do voice. Like they're looking at it from that point of view. And I'm just looking at it like as a sound gig or an MC being the jackass.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I get it. Because it's so multifaceted. It depends on how you
approach it.
And some people do the gig and they want to be the greatest singer, and I'm just like, nah,
No,
because
that's not
then
the point of it, right?
Right, then you intimidate people or
Right,
whatever.
Right.
And I'm not.
The idea is just to get them to want to come up and do it.
Right, and they go, if that jerk can do it,
Right.
That's
if he can come up and do it,
just perfect.
Right.
But but no, that was thanks to you. It just so happened when I was in a flux, you were like, well, why don't you try this?
Yeah, and it worked out great because at the time I was starting to get a lot more sound gigs.
Right.
And I was like, I don't, I want to go do the sound gigs, and I need somebody to do this. And then eventually it was just like, here you go, off and running.
And then probably whatever you do next, I'll take your sound gigs.
Yeah, exactly.
You never know.
Yeah.
I'm like one step behind. Yeah, that's all right.
That's all good.
So real quick, I don't want to run out of time.
Oh, is it really? Wow. See how fast?
It's almost.
Wow, that's
45
crazy.
minutes.
Yeah.
See, I told you.
Yeah.
Oh,
And what did we even talk about?
It doesn't. Go home and listen.
I will.
You know what? Nothing. We talk about nothing.
Right.
No, it's all good. No, the history of how.
Of how and why.
Yeah.
And why it's to this point. Yeah. Started off with
So when you had your first rig in West Haven or whatever, what were you recording on?
Oh, so
you know what I mean? The evolution of that.
Yeah. So keep in mind, this came from like when I started as a kid. I had some turntables, Radio Shack mixer, and a cassette deck, and stuff like that. But at the time, digital recording was just becoming a thing,
right?
And it was a lot of the things you could get was like a hard disk recorder, or they were starting to come up with like sound interfaces for computers.
Okay.
And
just like post ADAT kind of.
Yeah, this is like right. Yeah, I would say like ADAT had been out for a while.
Yeah.
And everyone was, and ADAT was one of the mediums too at the time, and everyone was like, Go computer. It's going to be computer. Like, that's going to be the thing.
Yeah, because ADATs were always, because it's just moving parts, breaking all the time. Right.
It's another tape. It's digital and it sounds good.
Sure.
It's still the maintenance of the tape machine part of it. It's basically a VCR is what it is.
Right.
It works, threads the tape up. It works like just like a VCR.
Yep.
Anyway, which thanks to COVID is one of the things I educated myself a whole lot with during COVID was electronics, like tons of electronics knowledge. How many videos on YouTube about
right.
Got, like right down to like how VCRs work, how all this stuff works, all these things that I always want to know, how does it work? And now I have a basic understanding. But it's funny. So what I did was I did have a hard disk. I had a Fostex like 16 channel hard disk recorder.
Oh, okay.
And it had like the remote, the front came off.
Yeah, I remember those.
And it was a remote.
Yeah.
And it was cool, but it was, at the time, that's what I kind of started off at very early. And then I got the computer. I got an interface for the computer and started to actually take the tracks off the hard disk and dump them into the computer.
And then edit and whatnot.
And then it was, trying to keep the computer from crashing and blue screening, and that was a real frustrating part of the whole time. And then all of a sudden, Windows 2000 came out, and all of a sudden, the computer just worked. I was like,
hey.
Oh my God, I can actually get through a whole day of recording and
without
goofing around, and the computer didn't crash once, and I didn't lose my whole song.
Miracle.
And
oh God.
Oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And then I found at the time it was like Cubase 5 as far as like recording software.
Yeah.
And it was the first VST 32-bit floating point. Yada, yada. I think, whatever. But it worked, and it worked well. And it gave us the ability to have people like do some work and have somebody come take work with them on a hard drive and work on it somewhere else and come back with the tracks and dump it back into the computer and be able to open that project up in your computer.
Oh, okay.
Right, which is what some of the stuff that I was doing with my friend Bill from New York.
He didn't have to come up anymore.
Right, like he could have his friends local to him do some recording down there, and then he could come up with the material. Yeah, so it worked out. It was really cool. Like that was at the time. It was like just it was everyone was mind boggled by the So that was it. So once the computer finally worked, I stuck with it, and that's got me into. I learned at the time how to build computers because you needed a computer, and like a computer specifically built to do the job. So that the parts in it that needed to be spec'd out right to actually handle audio recording could be, and so I got into that. And
then you're
building computers, and doing that end of it. So it's like
you didn't start
a jack of all trades, like
out of necessity.
The tech end of it, and then the music love. So people ask like, why do you? I don't know how to phrase this and not sound like, arrogant or whatever. That's not even the right word, but people are like, why do you think you're good at what you do, or why are you good at what you do, or whatever? It's I think it's a combination of understanding what it is you're actually really doing, and then being a music lover and loving music as a little kid and always listening to music and being able to hear all those different parts of songs and the recordings and pick them out, and and then you
have the vision,
right? And then this band comes along and they're playing that song, and I'm like, oh, I know what that should sound like. I know how to. I could do that. I can.
So
make
you're
it sound
using
like that.
everything,
all those parts, and it's again, it's just like the karaoke thing. Coming at it from your point of view, you're mixing it like a rock and roll show, and all of a sudden, it's like rock and roll karaoke. It's like a new thing. It's not. It's not just some. Mousy little. It's like brah.
Right. Yeah. Because Hey, well, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. I guess full circle.
Yeah.
We're lucky in a way. It's like we have to learn what we have to learn to kind of survive, but it's what we're interested in.
Right.
So the reason to learn it.
Right.
So you just,
Yeah,
that's all good.
Yeah.
All right, I got a few wrap-up questions.
Oh,
I just want to make sure. Is there anything that we did not talk about that you want to talk about?
Oh, geez.
Just real quick.
I don't know. I'm probably think of 17.
Yeah, I know. Well, you can come back. We can do this again.
Yeah.
I just.
No, I'm trying. Nothing. I don't have any. Anything that I need to announce to the world right now. I mean, everybody just. Go out and support live music. That's the biggest thing I could tell everybody listening to this. Is if I could, go out and support live music.
Yeah.
Go out and see a band. Go out and see a band you've never seen before.
Yeah.
Right. Just go see something.
Yeah, check it out.
Go out and support and say, because it's the best thing you can do.
And we got a lot going on. Like I say, you might be show 100. Like it's everybody, and I'm only me. These are just people I know.
Right.
Everybody's doing something. Jimmy Bell's here. This one's here. That one's there. This one's here.
There is so much going on any given Friday, Saturday night, and many other nights of the week as well.
Sure.
But especially Friday and Saturday nights. I just think about it. All the shows going on. Yeah,
for sure.
Go out and support your local musicians, and because if nobody comes, there's no reason.
Yeah, I hear you.
So,
all right, you ready?
Sure, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try my best.
Desert Island albums, a few.
God, man, that's
other than Paul's Boutique, we just.
Oh God, you took.
That's one of the
one.
things that we bonded over,
man. And that's funny because that one didn't even pop into my head as I was trying to come up with.
Oh,
and it's funny because there is that many There's just that many that I couldn't even.
I know. It's a stupid.
You know, one that keeps coming back to, and one that I thought of today, and it just kept coming back in my head was Elton John, "Goodbye Yellow Brick Road."
Yeah, me too.
It just
love that.
Yeah,
love that record.
And then, you know, like there's some not obscure stuff, but and this is one I think you'll relate to too, is the Third Eye Blind record.
Oh yeah, right. You turned me on to that.
Yeah. That one, that first record, was really good.
Yeah.
Toadies, Hell
Oh
Below, Stars
right,
Above,
another one.
Another one.
Yeah, these are all you turned me on.
That's
to
like
those.
some '90s rock.
Yeah, but it doesn't
rock,
get any better than that.
But it's
I remember
great.
those days when we were cranking that.
Obviously, Paul's Boutique.
Yep.
Boy, there's going to be so many that I'm
I
not
know.
even thinking of.
I know.
Queens of the Stone Age,
Yeah,
Songs
yeah.
for the Deaf.
Sure.
I don't know why I'm so stuck in the '90s right now, because it's just it goes on
so what?
forever. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
I could, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Led Zeppelin, all of them.
all Led Zeppelin, all the Beatles.
Yeah, all of them.
You know, Pink Floyd.
Sure.
Yeah.
All the usual suspects.
Sonic. You know, there's and then there's like some. You know, you go for the Sonic.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Oh, Tower Power.
Yeah,
Obviously.
right.
Yeah.
Sure,
I think that live recording that you gave me. That you
right.
found,
The
that's
one where they're at the radio station.
almost, and anybody out there who knows me and have been to shows that I've mixed knows that at the end of 99% of my shows, when the band's done, I start that recording right.
Is that right?
At the beginning of Squib Cakes. And and I let that play as I'm cleaning up.
Yeah.
And that's it's just like my cleanup music. It's my thing.
Crazy.
Gets me going.
Killer.
It's a wonderful performance.
Yep.
And the sonic, the recording.
Yeah.
And it's like live in a radio station, like
Oh, right.
you know, but it's like this. It's got a great sound to it.
Wow.
For a live recording.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, I accidentally discovered that somewhere or something.
Yeah. It's a great one.
Crazy.
Boy, there's just
Aliens Ate My Buick.
Aliens Ate My Buick. That was going to say Thomas Dolby. Aliens Ate My Buick. That's another one. Yeah. That's if you ask Steely Dan's sound guy, what do they use to sound check?
Yeah, right.
Their PA with.
It's Aliens Ate My. Really?
It is.
Wow, that's
somebody
killer.
asked him.
Wow.
He's like, yeah, that's what he meant.
Yeah, there is something about that. I had I don't know if you knew Brett. Did you know Brett D'Agostino? Or we used to talk about it. But
that name.
he was like hi-fi. His family is Krell.
Oh, okay.
So he's like hi-fi royalty.
Yeah.
And when he sadly passed away a handful of years ago. But when I would go visit him, it would be, I don't know what, but just the best hi-fi system you would ever.
Right.
And it was always Budapest by Blimp. That was always how we would wrap it up. He was totally into Aliens Ate My Buick.
Yeah.
Just like, boom. And like, what is it about that from a sound perspective?
It's just so huge.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, there's just, it's so big, and there's so much. It's a lot of energy in that recording. Like the it's just very out, like a lot of it's very out front. The way the vocals are, it comes through a PA system. It can really help you like find like your hot spots, like just because the vocals are so powerful.
So that's why.
And lots of mid range in the vocals. Yeah, there's
so you could kind of tune to it
tune to it really well.
I see that.
Even at like without having to crank your PA.
Yeah, because I like the way it sounds, but he was the other guy that was like, this album is one of them. So Aliens Ate My Buick by Thomas Dolby, 1988. That's the record we're talking about.
Yeah,
no one will ever listen to.
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
Yeah. Desert Island Food. Something you could eat every day, no problem.
It would probably kill me, but yeah, some kind of. I'm Mexican. If I could,
have, me too.
Tacos and
burritos
and fajitas.
I'm right there with you.
Margaritas.
Yep. Yeah, anything.
I hardly drink anymore, and when I do, somebody offers to buy me a drink. I'll take a margarita.
Yeah. Killer. One show, a live show that you saw that changed everything. That you were like this.
Boy.
Yeah. Think about it. You know?
That's a tough one. I wasn't expecting that question.
Yeah, right. Just curious.
One that I saw.
You know?
Oh, boy, that's a tough one. I got to think. Well, it's just so, like it's hard. And that's an interesting question asking like a sound guy because.
Yeah, right. Well, you're a musician too.
Okay, so I'll give you an example. Like a few years ago, I guess it was 2015. Gail and I went to go see Rascal Flatts up at the big, what's the one in Hereford, the Meadows.
Yeah.
And the production that they brought in was something like I had never seen before in my life.
Wow.
I mean, as far as amount of system and lighting and just everything.
Oh, wow.
Like
I don't know.
like spared no expense type of thing.
Yeah.
And the sound was just, I mean, it was phenomenal. It was
Wow.
unbelievably good. And then a few months later, I went to go see Van Halen.
Yep.
And I hate to say it, but it paled.
Oh, wow.
In comparison, it was sad. It was
Wow.
almost sad. Like
Wow.
I was kind of like, oh, this is not how I wanted to see Van Halen. Like,
Yeah. Oh, no.
I was like, oh no, this is
right.
tough. This is tough right now. I mean, it was like it was a quarter of this PA for sure. I mean, it was a quarter of the sound system.
Crazy.
No bottom end whatsoever. And
Wow.
David Lee Roth sounded like he was singing through a megaphone.
I wonder.
I
So
mean, when I
Rascal
say
Flatts
no
must
bottom
have their
end,
dude.
there was no bottom end. It sounded like your mom's
Yeah.
AM radio with one speaker in the dash.
Yeah.
Like that was the frequency response of the. It was
They
really
just couldn't
bizarre.
get anybody who knew what they were
Well,
doing.
or that's just how they wanted it. I don't know, but it was kind of tough to. I was like almost wanting to tell the guy next to me to be quiet so I can hear the band. And I'm at a Van Halen show. I was like, oh, and I remember Richie telling me a story about going to see Chuck Berry up in Meriden somewhere.
Yeah, sure.
And he was really elderly at the time.
Yeah,
It was like they, practically wheel him out there, and it was like kind of like sad. Like, and that's kind of like.
Sure.
I had that same, like, I mean, these guys are like, Van Halen's like one of my rock and roll heroes.
Yeah, I know. I've been there.
But I'm glad I got to see it.
Yeah.
Because that was the only time I ever got to see David Lee Roth era
me too.
Van Halen live.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too, neither. Yeah. Yeah, I saw him.
And it goes in, that another example that would have been, I know I'm going off tangent here a little bit, was Oakdale Theater, same speakers, same room.
Yeah.
Huey Lewis and the News sound was mediocre to okay. 3 or 4 months later, saw Steely Dan, like impeccable sound.
Yeah, right.
Same.
Right. Yeah, so it's just
speakers, same room.
Go figure.
Different guy,
That's
different
interesting.
whatever. Just
Yeah. Vision, like you say, somebody just they know what they want it to sound like and can figure it out.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's just it seems to me like there's a combination of things that need to come together to it's understanding what it is you're actually doing.
Yep.
And it's probably like the same thing with a great chef or whatever.
Yep.
It's just and then like the technical end of it and the artistic end of it and how you can bring those things together and present your vision to the people that are there to see that show.
It's the way it's supposed to be.
Right. I'm going to try to make this sound like the Led Zeppelin record if I can, and it's a Zeppelin tribute.
Using
whatever.
my knowledge.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
to my best of my ability. I'm going to do my best for you.
That's what it's all about. All right, we got to get out of here. I don't want to run out.
Yeah.
I'm afraid. All right. Hey, Aaron Stone was here finally.
Yes.
I'm glad.
So long.
We
Yeah,
got
I'm
it.
glad
We
so
got
happy
it.
I came.
Of course. Yeah, it's always
So
fun.
happy.
Always
Yeah.
fun. Always fun. All right, I'm going to press the button. Are you ready?
All right.
Aaron Stone was here, boys and girls.
Bye-bye.
You can see him at Crystal Bees maybe. What are you doing this weekend?
Crystal Bees on Friday and Saturday at Mags in Seymour.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? All right, John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Come over the bridge, go through one set of lights, start looking left at the red neon sign, park in the street. Like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Come be on my show with me. All right, thanks a lot, kids. That is all, Dave says. I always have to end with that is all.
If you'd like to start your own podcast, give us a call at Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Our professionally designed podcast space is here for all your recording needs. Rent out our studio to do interviews with up to 4 people, to record audiobooks, social media content, and all other recorded material. Our rentals include a private studio along with our professional-grade podcasting equipment, and we can customize your output to whatever your needs are. We also have green screen capabilities, which will expand to video capability if you so wish. So check us out here at convalley.net/podcast.